Yes guys, how's it going? Welcome back to a new video. Hope you guys are all enjoying your Monday evening. Wanted to jump on for a quick one tonight and talk about Newcastle being linked to centre midfielders. That's right. If you didn't think that buying a new striker, right winger, centre back, goalkeeper was enough for us this summer window, and look, it's a big window, big transfer window for Newcastle United. Back in the Champions League again. There is work to be done. As I've mentioned in a few videos, people getting slightly concerned that Eddie Howe said he wanted things done quickly. It has only been, 9 days. I think in June, for me, is classed as early still. And it's clear with the links, João Pedro, Alanga, we are making moves. But centre midfielders is not a position I thought we would really be making moves on this summer. But maybe I'm wrong. As reports coming out that Newcastle are heavily interested in Jacob Ramsey at Aston Villa off the back of links that both Willock and Longstaff could leave this summer. We're going to get into all of that in today's video. Before we do, be sure to go ahead and subscribe. I mentioned this in a video the other day, and loads of you guys subscribed. So maybe I need to ask a little bit more often. I'm so close to 50,000 subscribers now, which is crazy, to be honest. Did not think when I started this channel would get anywhere near that. Anywhere near 100 subscribers, never mind 50,000. So thank you very much for everyone who has subscribed. And if you haven't, it's free. Doesn't cost anything. Just hit the red button. Pushes the channel that little bit further. But as I say, in terms of the window, well, it actually closes tomorrow night at 7 p.m. for 6 days. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next 6 days. I don't think the transfer reports, rumours, talks will stop, to be honest. I think it will just continue. It's just that technically speaking, you can't have a player sign the dotted line in the next 6 days. They can't really stop clubs from talking to players, talking to other clubs. Now, I imagine that will continue on. How good would it be if Newcastle could actually get the talks sorted? There's lots of talks at the moment. Let's get some talks sorted, and then maybe when we return on the 16th of June, that someone can put pen to paper and get something done. And when I say that, I mean in terms of players coming in. But reports coming out that, who knows, could it be Willock and Longstaff putting pen to paper to leave Newcastle United? Both players, I think, have had underwhelming seasons at Newcastle United, and I would argue to say that these two players have been discussed in terms of potentially leaving the club this summer, January gone, maybe even the summer before that. Longstaff's a player who's constantly linked away, and Willock, with the likes of Gordon coming in, even Barnes coming in, Tonali coming in, Willock has just slowly but surely lost his place in the side, partly due to injury, and I think partly just, I was going to say just not at the level of some of these players we're bringing in, which might sound harsh, because I feel like on his day, Willock still has a lot to give. I think a big problem with Willock, whether it is injury-based or just getting in the side, doesn't get the game time, And it's tough, because when Newcastle are in a situation where every game, you talk about 6-pointers, you talk about must-wins. For a lot of the season for Newcastle, every game was a must-win. Every game was a 6-pointer. Eddie Howe criticised for not using more of the squad. Why does he keep playing Isak when he's clearly either injured or whatever? It's because it's important. He doesn't want to not play his best team all the time, and I just think because of that, not having European football has meant that we haven't needed to maybe rotate as much. And then you've got the likes of Willock and Longstaff have just kind of fell to the side a little bit. In terms of Willock, links for him to leave this summer to Crystal Palace. Obviously, we got him from London in the first place, so it'll be from Arsenal, so it'll be a return back to London for him, and maybe a chance to go ahead and grab some more game time and, you know, continue on with his career. Let me know your thoughts on Willock down in the comments below. How much would it take for Newcastle to let go of Willock as well? Bearing in mind what some of the fees you've João Pedro's 70 million, you know, how much is Willock? 30, 35, 40? And obviously, cough, cough, Newcastle are still linked with Mark Gahey as well. So I very much doubt there would be a swap deal. But in this world of PSR, the opportunity for us to sell him to him and then him to sell him to us so that we can write him off and he can write him off and da-da-da-da-da. Maybe that's not a bad little bit of leverage for Newcastle if Palace are interested in the player. So let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think it's time for Willock to move on? Would you take the 30, 35 million for Willock? Or are we just opening another can of worms? Because if you're letting the likes of Willock go and Longstaff, are we just having to do more things to concentrate on this summer? In terms of Longstaff, he's a little bit different. So links for him are to Burnley and Leeds. You know, not so long ago, you had the likes of Everton were interested. You know, even Manchester United were interested at one time. And again, because of, I think, the lack of European football has meant we haven't really had to mix it up a whole lot. In terms of Bruno, Tonali taking his place, Joe Linton's been a battering ram. And I would argue that Lewis Smiley, for me, is probably ahead of Longstaff in the pecking order. And I would just say the way Newcastle play football, he's a step ahead of Willock as well, because he plays centre midfield. I think really Willock is, you know, a more wandering 10 wide player, creating opportunities. We don't have that in our team. The best football Willock probably played was either when he first got here and he scored 6 goals in a row, which, you know, was ages ago. That was like 6 years ago. Or the side when was it when we got Champions League and he was on the left-hand side with Joe Linton interchange? I mean, that was fantastic. That wasn't playing centre mid like Tonali does or like Bruno does or like Joe Linton does, which is why it's... So Longstaff does do that, but I would say he's behind the other players. The sticking point with Longstaff is, because now we do have European football, homegrown players. We haven't got any. We haven't got any homegrown players. You know, links to Tim Krul coming back, links to Foster coming back on free deals, but we've already got 7 goalies, so we don't actually need them. Is it worth holding on to Longstaff to have that extra player in the squad? Because you don't have to have them. People are saying, well, we need to go out and find... You don't have to have them, but 4 places in your squad, or 4... So 8 players have to be basically trained in England, and 4 of them have to have been trained at your club. So at the minute, we have very few. Gillespie doesn't count because he left at too early an age. Lewis Miley's actually too young because you don't have to register players over the age of, I was going to say 18, is it 21? So Longstaff's like one of the few that we'll have. So letting him go would mean that's a one less spot for a Champions League. And if we're going to sell him for 10 million, fair enough, it's 100% profit because it's a homegrown player. But in the world of 70 million João Pedros, it's like buttons in football. Is it not better off just... Fair enough, he's going to sit on the bench all season and probably not get a lot of game time. But God would only imagine that something did happen and we're going, well, we've got 4 spots with no players in the squad for Champions League football. So Longstaff's different. Let me know your thoughts down on that one below. But as I say, if we are linked to letting Willock go, if we are linked to letting Longstaff go, really we need to be looking at bringing in a new centre midfielder. And the man who's been heavily linked is Jacob Ramsey from Aston Villa. Interesting, isn't it? Eddie Howe takes over as sporting director. Who does he go for? Gahey, who we already tried to buy. Alanga, who we already tried to buy. Trafford, who we already tried to buy. Jacob Ramsey, who we already tried to buy twice. We went for him back in January 2024, and then we tried again last summer. And this time, Eddie Howe's hoping he will get his man. He fits the Eddie Howe mould. He's 24 years old. He's an English player. Was highly recommended at the time when Gerrard was in there. I think he was playing under 21s at the time. Hasn't had his full England call-up yet. But has been a battler for Villa this season. I think he's played like 45 games in total for them this season, which is his highest amount of appearances yet for the club. And Unai Emery, by all accounts, isn't in a rush to let him go. But, and this is something that I'll be really interested to see how this plays out for us in this June month. You talk about the first transfer deadline being tomorrow because it's closed for 6 days before it opens again. Well, the next deadline ain't at the end of August. It's the end of this month. It's at the end of June, where clubs who have PSR troubles need to get the books right before. And look, by all means, PSR is just painful to talk about, especially when you've got the likes of Chelsea buying Delap, and now they want João Pedro. You've got Manchester United paying whatever the hell they want for anyone they want. And then you've got the likes of Aston Villa, a team who's, plugging away this season in the league, Champions League, and I haven't let go of players. It's absolutely madness. But it's dog eat dog out there. People took it out on us. We almost lost Gordon. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Gordon this season. Do we need to let Gordon go, and then we'll try and get a new left winger as well? And by the way, we need it. We need it. I know I'm being a little bit jokey, a little bit trivial over this kind of, we've got all these positions. Do we really need to do a centre mid? If Tino getting linked away, we definitely don't want to have to be fighting for a right back as well. Gordon on the left, we're looking at a left midfielder as well. There's so much going on. But the reason it's happening is because we haven't done anything for 3 previous transfer windows. We're trying to make up for all of it this summer. After succeeding in the Premier League, getting Champions League, we can't have a situation where we aren't really invested in the whole squad. You could go as far to say that really most positions in our side could do with boosting. Whether it's backup, an improvement, pretty much every position could do with it. And as I say, a big thing for Newcastle to try and get stuff done. It was our turn last time round. Haven't to let Anderson go. Haven't to let Yankuba Minter go. This time, what teams can we look at to try and use PSR to our benefit? And it would seem in reports that Jacob Ramsey, centre midfield, he can play a little bit versatile as well. We know Eddie Howe likes his versatile players. Can play kind of left mid, can play on the left-hand side as well. Not that I think we need it with Gordon, Barnes, and half the team can play on the left. We need somebody on the right, but still versatile. And the reported fee is around 30 million. They reckon that they would have hoped for around 50, but because of PSR, they could be forced to sell for lower. And if he does go, I doubt that's the one that'll happen, when the new window opens. It'll be end of June, where we're literally prizing them out of Unai Emery's hands for a fee. Exactly what happened with us on deadline day last time with Anderson and Yankuba Minter, having to let a player go. So let me know your thoughts on that one down in the comments. Is Jacob Ramsey a good replacement for the likes of a Willock and a Longstaff? I think he probably is an improvement on Longstaff, and I think he probably fits the way Eddie Howe wants to play football better than Willock, and because quite possibly an improvement, and younger as well. So there you go. Thoughts and comments down below on midfield being another position that Newcastle are looking at this window. Do we need it? Do we need the hassle? Is Bruno, Tonali, Joe Linton is the first 3, Miley coming in behind, and then should we need the players, then Willock and Longstaff can fit in? Or do you think we should be looking to improve in that area as well? I'm interested to hear it. And as I say, if you haven't subscribed and you're still watching 14 minutes later, hit the button, hit subscribe. It's free, helps me, helps the channel. And I'll probably see you tomorrow for deadline day, the first one of a few deadline days this summer window. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.